You're listening to Epic Agents, the best in real estate podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Ham, and welcome to episode number 1 in what I hope will be the first of many episodes to follow. Joining me is an epic agent indeed. She's an entrepreneur, an author, a world traveler, and an accomplished real estate broker who's licensed in North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, DC, and Florida. Among her many accolades, she is especially fond of being recognized by Realtor Magazine in their 2019 class of 30 under 30, an annual list of rising stars in the real estate industry that highlights dynamic and driven brokers across the country. In 2023, she reached a sales volume of 25 million. And she was the first agent I invited to be a part of this podcast production, a project that I'm really excited about. Her name is Cristina Grosso, and she's affiliated with Realty One Group Select just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. Cristina, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. Congratulations. I'm happy to be here. It's a huge accomplishment that you have started this, and I'm so proud of you. I hope it turns into something really great.
I really appreciate it. Yeah, thank you so much. I've leaned on you a little bit as we got close to launching this podcast for some feedback on format and even naming. And so I really appreciate your time. I know you're super busy. So for listeners, this is the first episode of, again, what I hope will be many. And we're going to try to keep the format right at about 30 minutes. I think that's sort of the sweet spot. And based on listener feedback, in the coming months, I can always adjust that for more content if needed or wanted. So, Cristina, what a tremendous 2023. You're off to a huge start in 2024. I follow you, of course, on social media, and we're acquainted. So, it's been amazing to watch.
Yeah, I was busy last year, obviously, with my sales, and this year I had a kind of slow start. The interest rates hit our industry a little harder than we were expecting. Obviously, every market's different, but it's picking up right now again in spring. I'm hoping for a bigger year next year. I'm not going to give myself any standards, but I'm definitely excited to see where the business goes this year and bringing a lot more mentors and mentees onto my team. So I'm really excited.
I tell you, I've noticed locally in the Charlotte market, which is where I'm based as well, that 2024 is off to a big start. Properties are moving pretty quickly. Home values continue to rise. I think that you're going to have a big 2024. Yeah, for sure. So fingers crossed that nothing drastic or major happens with the economy or interest rates, of course, but still remaining optimistic. Cristina, for listeners who aren't familiar with you, which will be a lot. This is going to be a national podcast. Share for them a little bit of your background, hometown, education, and then we'll dive into how you got into the real estate industry.
Sure. So I'm originally from Honolulu, Hawaii. I went to undergraduate school at University of Southern California in Los Angeles. I do have my master's from Purdue University Global, and I became a realtor about 12 years ago, back in 2012. I didn't like Los Angeles. It wasn't for me. So my mom had just relocated to Mooresville. She said, pick up, move everything, and come out this way. So I did. And I didn't know anything about houses. I didn't know anything about real estate. And I kind of dove in head first. I started meeting people, started meeting friends. And that's when my business started. So started in 2012. My mom now works for me. She was happily retired, but I did need an assistant or somebody to help me manage my showings because I had to be in too many places at once. So she came onto my team, I believe in 2017, and she loves it. It gives her something to do. She's she's all of her own clients, and it's going really well. But yeah, my major was in forensics and criminality, so I wanted to be in the FBI. However, that didn't work out. So real estate is now what I do full time. It's my passion. And like you said, I am licensed in 5 states and hoping to add a few more this year.
Are you familiar with Chris Voss, the hostage negotiator that's written a couple of books and done a lot of, So, I mean, real estate, the industry is not far from being an FBI agent, I think, especially when it comes to negotiation and, all the details involved. Chris Voss is somebody really for agents who aren't familiar, really should check out some of his work. I forget the name of his book. I'll drop it in the description for this in the show notes. But it's really a masterclass on negotiating. So I definitely recommend that. Um, you mentioned that your mom is your now your assistant, which is really cool. You were able to bring her out of retirement to work for your business, and you are in a lot of different places at one time. I mentioned that you're licensed in 4 states plus the District of Columbia,
Correct.
and I noticed recently you took a helicopter to a listing appointment in Virginia not too long ago. That was pretty cool.
Right. I had to be there in about an hour, and my husband had just bought a helicopter, and he said, let me fly you there. So normally I have to reschedule because I cannot drive 2.5 hours quickly. So I was able to meet the agent and her clients there, and it was a type of service I've never really experienced myself. So I was happy to provide it.
That's really cool. I mean, it doesn't get much cooler than that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cristina, I want to share a little bit of your expertise with listeners, especially, a lot of the format for this podcast is not only sharing stories of successful brokers like yourself, but also providing some insights and tips and advice for new brokers
Sure.
who are, or brokers who are struggling. That maybe they're not so new, but they're struggling to adapt to new technologies, new marketing initiatives, that sort of thing. And there are so many parts to the marketing and puzzle and advertising puzzle, especially for a real estate broker, because competition is so stiff. And but I would love to. You have mastered so many different areas of marketing and networking. Your social media accounts, which I follow, I think on Instagram, you're over 11,000 followers, all organic. By the way, I've noticed your engagement is really, really high. Your real views are really high. So that's a really, really good sign. I know there are brokers out there with a lot of followers that aren't organic.
Yes.
So well done there. Also strong on Facebook as well. What are some tips if you could think of something for a new agent who's coming into this as their career, especially agents who, I know a lot of agents really dream of or aspire to working in the luxury segment. And that's a segment that I think you have a lot of experience in as well. What are some tips, and where would you like to start, in marketing or networking?
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's so important for newer agents to see and follow those who are doing much better and aspire what they aspire to be. I ended up following one of the top agents at Realty One Group. She's down in Arizona, and I ended up getting the same website company as her. I've been using another one for a while, and I figured if she's doing it, I can do it. I think it's just so important to look at your competition, even some of your best friends who are in real estate. They're the ones who can provide the best knowledge and marketing tips. I think as agents, because there's so many of us, we tend to gatekeep information. And once we find something that works, we don't want to tell anybody else about it. But I think that's detrimental to our industry as a whole. I do believe that you need to collaborate with those who are doing better than you, and even those who are newer agents, so you can hear their perspective and hear what's working, what's not, and apply it to your own business. So networking in a whole is just very important. Just meeting all new types of agents, from commercial to land brokers to buyer sellers to renters agents to any type of agent you can. Any referral is money, obviously, and I do a lot of my business with referrals. So just networking is key, and not holding on to information that you think is proprietary. It's so important to share that with others.
So in my marketing agency business, I'm a huge proponent and advocate for content marketing. I truly believe in that philosophy of sharing and teaching everything you know. And I think that I've noticed a lot of reluctance in the real estate industry for brokers to market that way, to share their knowledge. I know it's scary because you're afraid of maybe losing those opportunities if you share too much or you teach too much. But I truly believe that the long-term value is much greater than the risk when it comes to content marketing. I love your point too about being diverse in your networking activities and networking, in your prospecting as well. So networking not only for residential type leads or referral partners, but also commercial land. Land is an interesting niche too.
Yes, definitely.
Do,
Go for it.
Well, I was going to ask, you're licensed in Virginia, and I spent a lot of my childhood in Central Virginia, and a really beautiful area of the country. So when I think of land, I think of Virginia. Do you have you sold a lot of land in Virginia?
I do have a big listing right now with a large amount of acreage. When we were flying over with the helicopter, I realized how much land is really out there. I don't think you realize when you're just driving on the highway because you don't get to see all those little pockets of areas. But there's so many large pieces of land and tracts of property out there. It's insane. So obviously, I've been looking online just to see what can be bought, and it's not cheap. It's definitely Virginia is becoming the new hotspot. About 2 hours outside of Charlotte, so you can find some good deals to be had, for sure.
Yeah, land in Virginia. Virginia is generally an expensive area, especially as you get closer to Northern Virginia as well. But the state as a whole is, for good reason. It's beautiful. The climate's ideal. And I remember in high school, I had a Jeep in high school and college, and I used to, when I was home for summer breaks, I would take drives with the Jeep down back roads in the country of Virginia and just explore, like get lost back there. And it was amazing, like what you see when you're, miles from the highway, just these gorgeous estates and a lot of equestrian. I mean, it's just,
Yeah,
it's such a beautiful, beautiful place. All
definitely.
right, I digress. Let's talk about, I love the networking tips that you shared. Let's talk a little bit about marketing. Where do you think you see opportunities for brokers when it comes to marketing, specifically social media, but are there other channels that you found to be pretty successful as well? Do you do anything in print advertising or direct mail? And what are some ways that you think that you see in general that brokers could improve their social media presence?
So social media is interesting because if you're not, I'm going to say the 30 to 45, 50, it's social media is hard. It's not easy. They're not on their phones. My mom's not in that age range. I won't give her age, but she doesn't post on Instagram. She doesn't really post on Facebook. That's not what she enjoys doing. But however, for my generation, I feel like that's what we have to do. We have to post the houses we've sold. We have to promote ourselves. Otherwise, our clients are gonna choose somebody else who might be marketing themselves better. So I think it just depends on your demographic and obviously where you live, who you work with. If you work with seniors, they may not follow social media, so you would do more print advertisement in that aspect. I personally, I used to do print, however, now I do more postcards for just sold and just listed. I
Mhm.
also send out mailers for expired listings just to see if anybody's interested in selling again. So I do target those buyer or those sellers. But yeah, social media it's a hit or miss. I mean, I don't pay for any advertisement. Sometimes I might promote a house on Instagram or Facebook with the promote feature for $20 or say something. But I do know people that spend thousands and thousands of dollars. I don't know for me if that would be worth it. However, I do know that some people say it does. You just need to sell one house and obviously it covers that for a few months. So social media is fun. There's so many ways to do it now with Canva, which is a free app, just like it's Photoshop, easily Photoshop, and you can play around and do things very easily. And then obviously all the AI stuff that's coming out, you type in Virginia house sold by Cristina and it pops out a just sold mailer. It's pretty crazy. So I haven't really experienced much in that field of AI. I've used it a few times, but not as much as I know other agents are across the US.
Yeah, I've just kind of started diving into a little bit of the AI capability, especially when it comes to the direct mail aspect. I produce a digital platform in the Charlotte area specifically, well, two, but the one that's most successful, I spend the most time on, is the Lake Norman platform, which you're familiar with, of course. And um, I've spent or invested, I've invested quite a bit of my marketing budget in promoting Facebook and Instagram posts that invite followers or not followers to opt into our email list. So that's basically how I've grown a pretty successful and substantial email subscribership, which I then keep in touch with weekly with a newsletter. So it's a local lifestyle thing. So I think that having that goal in mind of, boosting a post or advertising, running an ad on Facebook or Instagram is a good idea but you consider the goal that you have for that ad, right? So it doesn't always make sense all the time. But I just wanted to share a little bit of that info, just that's been a good way for me to grow that email list. But you mentioned postcards, direct mail. That's something that I'm just now starting to get involved in. I'm participating in a sort of a co-op direct mail, EDDM to be specific, going out in the near future. And then I have, following that, I have some standalone direct mail postcards that I'll be sending out too. So I'm looking forward to seeing how, what the results are of those as well. So yeah, I think that diversity in marketing and advertising is pretty important.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the mistake that a lot of agents make when they're first getting started is they do the mailers like you're doing. However, they don't say they're a new agent. And I say, well, you should tell everybody that you're a new agent. You should tell them you're going to work harder than every other agent that has 12 deals. It's going to be your only deal. And I've gotten a lot of business when I first started doing that, because you call a luxury broker or whatever it may be. They have 3 assistants. They have showing agents. They have this and that. They'll meet you originally, but after that, there's a lot of people in the pipeline. So when you're a newer agent, you say, I'm newer, but I'm willing to work 10 times harder. I won't let anything skip through the cracks, because I won't. I know well, you're not going to say you don't know what you're doing, but you're going to say that you're going to try your hardest to make sure everything's perfect, because you want to, and you need it, and you need their business. I think that's something that a lot of agents don't do. We need your listing. We need this. We don't have any more. You're my only listing. I'm going to spend 10 times as much time on it as any other agent would. And I think that's an important thing that a lot of agents miss out on.
I'm so glad that you made that point, that you brought that up. That's another piece of advice that I've received from another broker that I really respect recently, who said, lean into the fact that you're a new agent, and I am a newly licensed agent. I earned my license in 2023. So I wasn't really sure, because there's so many important questions you should ask a client, a prospective client, a home seller should ask a listing broker before they sign that contract or contract with that broker or sign that listing agreement. And a lot of those questions I can't answer. So I can't say, do I have experience listing homes in your neighborhood? No, I don't, so, and then the list goes on. But you can lean into the fact that you're a newly licensed broker, and you have a pretty open schedule, and you can really focus on that 1 or 2 listing clients,
For sure. Yeah. And like I said, I did that. I know it works. It's a little scary at first, because when you send out these mailers, the first thing they do is Google you. They look at what you do. And if you don't have any social media online presence, why would they list with you? Why would their house isn't going to get the attention and coverage that it should? So you need to start building your social media platforms early on. Even your Zillow page, super easy. It's free. Get your bio in there, say everything you've done. Your realtor.com page, all that stuff. It's free. It's easy. It takes 10 minutes. But it's something that the sellers are going to look at. Even buyers will look at it. They'll see how many houses you've sold. 0, no problem. I'm new. I'm love this area. My dentist is in this area, or something like that you just have a connection. You don't have to sell in there. It's just in farming your neighborhood's obviously the first easiest place to start, because your neighbors know you, and they're willing to give you a chance.
I was actually just about to bring up that concept of farming your neighborhood. That's a really good point. I'm glad you brought that up. So you would agree that's pretty important, especially when you're starting out, to farm your neighborhood, to perhaps do a direct mail campaign, flyers. I don't know about door knocking, but getting out in the neighborhood, meeting neighbors, start with where you are.
Right. And I don't live in a neighborhood, so I don't have that luxury, but those who do, um, if your kids play with other kids around the area, if you have wine nights with the moms, make it known that you're an agent. Make it show them that you know what you're doing, you know the area. You don't have to know what you're doing, but at least show it. And I think that's the other thing that a lot of agents do. They fake it till you make it. Go look at houses, post them online, tag the listing agents. If you want to see a showing, let me know. Touring this house for a client. Your client could be your mom or your dad. You don't have to define who your client is, but they'll see you out there. They'll see you putting in the work, and that's the most important thing.
I think reminding those and your neighbors in your neighborhood and your community that you are a real estate broker, even if you don't have listings. That was a really good point that you brought up. Tour someone else's listing, go to an open house, take some photos, post it on your social media. Yeah, you'll be promoting that listing broker a little bit, but that's okay. You're reminding your friends, your neighbors, your community that you are a real estate broker. So don't be afraid of that.
Yeah, and you're promoting yourself, but you're not doing it in an annoying way.
Yeah.
Um, Myself as an agent, I get annoyed when other people promote themselves in an annoying way. But I love looking at other houses that they're showing. I could look at houses all day. There's a super pretty one. I'll ask, whose listing is it? Is that your listing? No, it's Jason's. Okay, well, great. Call up Jason. I mean, every time you promote another agent, you're helping the industry as a whole. We're trying to help each other. And that's when agents ask if they can promote my stuff. I say, no problem. Go ahead. Find me a buyer. I hope you get a listing out of it. That'd be awesome. I have no issue with helping others try and get business. And obviously, if they bring me a buyer, then it's a win-win for everybody.
That's one of the things that I've admired about you. We've known each other for not quite a year, but we've been acquainted through other things that actually I'm going to bring up.
I have been trying to get in touch with you for 3 years.
Yeah. That's a, yeah. Yeah. I'll drop a link to that podcast episode too. So listeners can learn a little bit more about how Cristina stalked one of my other podcasts for 3 years. Yeah. I apologize. I've one man show, spread thin, you know the deal.
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Now I forgot what I was saying. See, you rattled me. Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. Sharing experiences, not marketing, not being annoying in your marketing. I think we all know what that looks like. And if you don't, ask your friends, what do you think of my marketing on social media? Where do you ask for feedback or input from those in and outside of the industry? Oh, I know what I was going to say. So we've known each other for nearly a year now, and you've been so generous in helping me to promote content in this area. And even though I'm also a licensed broker, you've been you've collaborated with me on several things, networking events, and featuring your listings and properties on our YouTube channel for that platform. So yeah, I mean, I think that, the rising tide raises all ships, right?
Yeah, definitely. Some of my best friends in this industry are both realtors and lenders. I think it's so important to have those connections with people in the industry, because if you have a client that's not working for you and it's just going south, at least refer it to one of your friends so they can profit off of it. And as well as you get a referral fee. We always forget about referral fees. So if you have a good connection with somebody that you know can close the deal, send that referral out. At least you'll profit from the whole transaction. We don't always have to close every deal. And if I had a client that's a huge podcaster and they wanted someone who was in podcasting, obviously that's not me. So that'd be a great referral for you. So I do think it's important to know your niche, know other people's niches, and make sure that we all collaborate together for sure.
Yeah, I love that. And yeah, definitely, you still have an opportunity to be a resource for the client, even if you may not end up doing business together.
Right.
Being a resource for that client would, serve you really well in the future when that client has needs in the future, or their friends and family.
I think it's so important to rely on those referrals because if you have a client whose mom or dad or sister or brother or anyone's looking to move, they're going to call you first. So I make sure to take care of my referral partners. I send them gifts throughout the year, little things like Yeti cups or just things that they know I'm thinking of them, and I appreciate every referral they give. And of course, they love me more when their check comes in the mail.
Yeah, absolutely. Christina, we have a couple of minutes left. Before I close, share a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey. I mentioned at the opening of this episode that you're an entrepreneur. You have a couple of businesses. You're a published author. And what do you do outside of the real estate industry? I think do you still serve on the board at the Humane Society?
We do, yep. My husband and I are both on the board at Lake Norman Humane. We're a no-kill shelter here in Mooresville, North Carolina. We house dogs, cats, exotic animals, rabbits, all the good things. So we enjoy charity events and spending our time doing that. And I am a published author for my book, Learning to Earn with Romanza Madge, young book about little girls who want to become entrepreneurs. I'm currently writing a second. And then my other company that's kind of blown up in the last few weeks is my replica ring. So it's doing really well. We had some videos go viral, and that kind of helped a bunch. So super thankful and blessed, obviously. And I am a mom as well to a 3-year-old and a 12-year-old stepdaughter. So I am busy, but I have no problem being busy. I enjoy it, and I'm just so thankful and blessed to be living this life.
I love that you find that you have such diverse passions and that you're building businesses. You're in addition to running an extremely successful real estate enterprise as well. So, and thank you for serving on the board of the Humane Society. We're big fans of Lake Norman Humane here too. So I think that's really, really awesome.
Yeah, they're a great organization. They're all volunteer run, and we do have some staff that are there full time. But we got 2 dogs from them from Hurricane Irma, little puppies, Axel and Lily. So we love the facility there, and it's a great place.
Christina, I want to thank you for taking time out of your extremely busy schedule. We're actually recording on a weekend morning, and which I can relate to. I don't expect my guests to take time out of the weekend, but thank you so much. And for taking a chance on helping me launch this podcast. Nobody ever wants to go first. So thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. I'll have links in the show description, show notes, and description on YouTube for this video. And for anyone who wants to reach out and connect with you, I'll make sure links to all of your platforms and are in the description. So Cristina Grossu, again, entrepreneur, author, licensed broker in 4 states and District of Columbia, and just a great all-around person. Cristina, thanks for joining the podcast.
Yeah, thanks so much. Good luck and best wishes for a successful podcast.